The credibility of the Reserve Bank and many economists is underwater. And this must have something to do with the composition of the 9-member board of the Reserve Bank, with 5 business representatives and 4 economists, including the Treasury Secretary. What homework were they doing last November? The Treasury Secretary shouldn't be on the board. He's appointed by the government. And if you want an independent central bank, you shouldn't have government officials on it. The unions are arguing they should be represented on the board. I wouldn't have a problem with that. How could that be worse than the current lot? Of course, Lowe is now saying that his statements last November were embarrassing and, quote, they should have done better. Well, if it was a cricket team that he was running, Lowe would be dropped. Let's stop gilding the lily. The Reserve Bank's credibility as an independent, inflation-targeting central bank has been found wanting. It is clear that the board of the Reserve Bank last November were blind to the inflation risks that were obvious even to a layman. And our borrowers face a year of pain, with inflation likely to peak at 6% and the cash rate to climb even higher. Yet again, the punter and the battler are paying the price of bureaucratic failure. Now, the hairy-chested talk is that interest rate increases will continue, which of course runs the risk of the household sector pulling back from spending. What will that do to the economy? Of course, I must say this, borrowers must share the blame. They could never surely have imagined that this virtually free money would go on forever. Borrowers have lived through an extraordinary economic period of ultra-low rates. The average cash rate for the past decade, that's before COVID-19 hit, was 2.5%. There are people listening to me tonight who remember paying interest rates closer to 20% than 2%. I'm not being wise after the event, but I warned during the pandemic that the reckless stimulus spending would have its consequences, and here we are. The Reserve Bank was silent then and underestimated the impact that stimulus would have on stirring inflation. Out of control spending by government, and the battler on Struggle Street now pays the price. As you've heard me say, we've just had a New South Wales budget brought down by a Liberal government, increasing spending by 26.5% in 1 year. Keane and Perrottet have obviously never heard of inflation. So this very blunt instrument, interest rates, are now rising at a rapid rate to contain what in many ways government has created. As Peter Costello said last month, the Reserve Bank has presided over, quote, the worst failure in monetary policy since the 1990s, and the consequences are, he said, that the RBA now has to raise interest rates faster and further than otherwise would be the case, unquote. Costello was right when he argued the Reserve Bank had, quote, completely missed the surge in inflation in the RBA's worst monetary policy in 3 decades, unquote. Well, the result? People in Struggle Street are now grappling with large mortgages that are not locked in on fixed interest rates. As things stand through all of this, it appears that the Reserve Bank will face no sanctions. In my view, the governor at least should be gone yesterday. The battler is being punished for more failure from highly paid and appallingly indulged public servants.